Hey everyone, it's Jeannie, and today I'm sharing a card created using a collaboration stamp set between Ink on 3 and Crafty Meraki called Shine Bright. I'll be focusing today's card on the 3 lanterns in this stamp set, and we'll be stamping them out using Ink on 3's Blackout ink, which is a super dark black ink that can be used with watercolors and alcohol markers. In between the stamping, I'm also using the ink off cloth with the ink off cleaner, which is a cleaner in an ink pad. It's super compact and travel friendly. So I wanted to play with a little depth perspective today in my scene card. So it looks like you're staring into a sky filled with lanterns. Since there are 3 sizes in this set, it makes it really easy to achieve. So the largest size I stamped at the very bottom of the card, which are the lanterns closest to you, and the smaller lanterns will be on the top of the card. Once I stamp everything out, I'll be masking them off because I will be doing some ink blending to create a nighttime sky with glowing lanterns. And the effect of the glowing lanterns is really fun and super easy to achieve. To start off, I am using the LTA inks from Ink on 3, going in with Bee Sting Yellow and Marigold Orange. I start with the yellow because I wanted to create that glowing effect around, and I'm adding the orange just to add a bit of color dimension. I liked variations in the colors just so it looks a little bit more realistic. So next, I'm going to go in with my Jam Purple and fill up the entire space around the glowing lanterns. And then I'm going to use Peacock Blue just to add a bit of different colors to this background, just because it looks a lot nicer when it's just not just one color. To finish it off, I will be using Paint It Black on the edges of the sky just to add to that nighttime look. So going back in with my Jam Purple, I'm kind of trying to close up the gaps around the glowing lanterns. So if you go over the yellow, it's okay. You kind of want that because it looks more realistic. So you can go in as many times as you want until you're happy with it. So I'm happy with how it turned out, and I remove all the mask, and I will be coloring all the lanterns using Copic markers. So I'm only using a few colors of Copic markers. There's these really detailed beads on these lanterns, and I'm like quickly coloring them in because I'm not shading every little circle that is on the beads. And I probably would never do that because it would just take so much time, especially because they're so small. But for the lanterns, I did want to add the effect of them looking round. So I am going in with my darkest color, which is a red, and adding it to the areas where I want shade. And because I want them to look round, I'm not going to add them in that middle of the biggest part of the lantern because you want to leave that area for the highlight, so this does look round. I am going in with an orange and just kind of blending out the red since it's such a dark color, but in the end, when you finish coloring this card, the lanterns will look orange and yellow, not red at all. The red is just to create that shading that you need so the lanterns do look round. So once I finish using the orange, I will go in with kind of a mid-tone yellow, and it is kind of orangey yellow, and it just adds to the effect. And this will be the color that has probably the most area that's covered on the lantern. And when you go in with your final yellow color, that will be your highlight. So I think that this card is really easy to achieve, and that glow is already working for this card. I will go in later with the Paint It Black color just to deepen the sky a little bit more because I wanted it to look a little darker than what it is right now. Because the colors are pretty vibrant, a lot of the Atelier colors are really bright, and so I find the best way to kind of dull it down is to add that black color, which isn't a very dark black, but it works well enough just to shade the area. So once I'm done with the lanterns, I'm going to go in with a Uniball Signo white pen and add stars to the sky. And I think once I finish my first pass of these stars, I will go in and add that paint it black color just to darken everything up again. And then I'll have to go back in to add the stars. And when I add that painted black color, it kind of darkens some of the white spots that I had already created. And that actually ends up creating a little bit more dimension for the sky anyway. And I really liked how it turned out. So I'm actually not sure the size for my Uniball Signo pen, but I do also go and use a Jelly Roll pen, which is a little bit thinner, and so it kind of adds the dimension that I like, where it has two different sizes of the white stars. So I am using a heat gun because I will be heat embossing the sentiment. I'm using the May Your Light Shine Bright sentiment for this card. And so I'm going to go in with my anti-static powder tool, prep the area, and using Juicy ink, I'm going to go ahead and stamp that. And you'll note that when I add the white embossing powder, it doesn't cover the May Your Light completely. So I'll go in, since I have this in my Misti, and re-stamp it. And I just do that very carefully because sometimes you just don't want to push too hard on sentiments, especially small ones, using the Watermark ink, because it might mush it and then it won't be very crisp when you heat emboss it. So I'm just going to go in again and re-stamp that first part of the sentiment just to make sure that I get it completely covered. And then I'm going to go in again with the Artic White embossing powder, which is a fine detailed embossing powder. And I'm able to heat emboss it, and it turned out perfect. So to finish off this card, I am pulling out the Ink on 3's Liquid Pixie Dust, which is this gorgeous glittery color. And I actually put it into a water pen just because it's easier to do instead of filling with the bottle. And I am coloring up all the lanterns, and I will show you the glow that this adds to the lanterns. Sometimes I want to add a little bit too much, so you'll see me kind of wiping it off on the side of my glass mat just so I don't get too much glitter, because this is definitely very, very glittery. Liquid Pixie Dust is the perfect name for this glitter. So there you go. That is it for today's card. I love the glowing effect of the lanterns, plus the night sky, and plus the glitter on the lanterns. So I hope you enjoyed this card, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!